Dear applicant, join us as we guide you through the application for the Habitats Trust Grants 2023. Whether you're applying for the THT Conservation Grant or the THT Action Grant, you'll first need to register yourself on the application portal. Log on to www.thehabitatstrust.org/grants and click on the Apply Now button. This is the registration page. Start by filling in some basic information such as the name of your organization. In case you're applying as an individual, please put down your own name, the various places where you have ongoing projects, the various species you are working on, your contact number and email address. Finally, select the grant category you wish to apply for. Great, you're now registered on the portal. Click on this tab on the top left to go through the detailed guidelines before you apply. You can also download them for your reference. We've also addressed a few common queries here. In case you'd like to go over the questions of the entire application form offline, to be better prepared, here are the downloadable versions of each grant category. The form has 4 pages to fill in total. You cannot proceed to the next page without completing the current page. Let's begin. On the first page, start by adding the proposed project title in less than 10 words. Now, let's come to section 1. Here you can click on the drop-down menus and select whether you're an organization or individual, which grant you are applying for, and finally whether you're a government or a private institution. Proceed to section 2. Go ahead and add the details of the primary point of contact for us. Then check this box to confirm that the information provided by you is authentic. Coming to section 4. If you're applying as an organization, please tell us more about your organization's mission statement. Key objectives. The date of establishment as per institutional documents, and years of experience in the field. If you're applying as an individual, you will need to fill in your bio and qualifications and the number of years of your experience in the field. Whether you are an individual or an organization, you'll need to fill in the total funding received and expenditure in the last financial year, including field activities. This should be in line with your audited accounts for the previous financial year. Next, tell us about a few key projects undertaken by you in the past, preferably those relevant to the project you are proposing. You can click on the plus icon at the bottom right to add more projects. Finally, fill in the details of some of the key personnel working in the organization. You can add up to 5 names. If you're an individual, you won't need to fill the above section. Super! You've completed page 1 of your application process already. Remember to click on this button before we move further. Guess what? The data filled so far has been saved for your convenience, and if you wish to go back to edit the previous page at any point, you can. But ideally, do not change the grant category. Alright, let's get to page 2 now. This page is important, because this is where you tell us in detail about the specific project you're applying for. Start by adding an outline of the proposed project focusing on the need and expected outcome clearly. Fill in the exact location, the state and the latitude and longitude. Also upload an image of a map of your proposed project location. Before filling in the next fields, read the descriptor line in green, carefully. This will help you understand details of all the information you need to provide. Next, fill in the common names and the scientific names of the key flora or fauna your project is impacting. You have to mention the IUCN conservation status or the Wildlife Protection Act schedule for each of your entries, up to 5. If you've done some work in the past on the above-mentioned species, share that with us. Add in the objectives of your project clearly, preferably in bullet points. Next, fill in the theory of change field carefully in 500 words. Remember to read the descriptor in green. The next field is critical. The key to a successful project is a well-defined and pragmatic activity plan. To make things easier, this year we've provided an Excel file format for you to download and fill up. The Excel has 3 sheets. The first is about the grant you're applying for and your basic details. Sheet 2 is the logical framework analysis page, where you fill in the objectives of your project, the various activities you plan to undertake, their output, the outcome, along with the measurable indicators. You can add more rows if you need. All activities mentioned here should be reflected in the next sheet, Activity Timeline. The activity timeline is divided into half-year slots that pan over 2 financial years if you're applying for the Action Grant, and 3 financial years if you're applying for the Conservation Grant. Once you're satisfied with all the data you've filled in, you can click here to re-upload the Excel file on the portal. We recommend you spend time filling the next 4 fields so that you don't miss any key information. Here too, the descriptor lines in green below each field will help you understand the points that you'll need to cover. If you're applying for the THT Action Grant, you will not be required to fill in the field on sustainability or replicability. Next, tell us whether this is a fresh project or a scale-up of your pre-existing efforts. If you're partnering with others for your proposed project, such as NGOs, community partners, government agencies or corporates, check this box and provide the details of 1 to 3 points of contact within these organizations. If not, check this box. Proceed to filling out the details of some of the key personnel working on the project. You can add up to 5 names. Now we come to Section 6. Please provide 3 references of people who are familiar with your work in the field. List the name of their organization and contact details of the person who's attesting your work. We may reach out to these references as part of the evaluation process. Finally, we come to the last section on this page. If your project requires permits, authorization, and licenses from any government body, please provide details on such permissions and their current status. Congratulations! You are halfway there. Click here to save the information. Now, let's start with page 3, where we understand your project budget. A descriptive budget is essential for a complete project evaluation. We've broken the budget into various heads, so please fill each segment in detail. If any of the budget segments are not applicable to your project, check the box below that. We start with personnel costs. Please include the total compensation of all employees in the costing. Do specify full-time and part-time personnel. If you wish to add a field, click on the plus icon. Honorariums and consultancy fees should also be listed here. Next we come to activity costs, which should include costs of all field activities geared towards achievements of the project objectives. Please note that we encourage a majority of your budget to be spent on activities. Next, under equipment costs, list all equipment, including phones, cameras, laptops, etc., and other fixed assets that you wish to procure under the proposed project. Travel costs would include both local travel, as well as head office personnel traveling to and from the project site. Communication costs would include monthly mobile expenses, couriers, costs of reporting and media coverage, and any other costs incurred for monitoring and coordination of the project. Administrative costs would cover your organizational overheads, rent, electricity, bank charges, audit fees, etc. incurred specifically for this project. Please note that all the costs you feed in would automatically be added under each budget segment and also appear as the grand total. If your budget includes expenditure on pre-existing fixed assets, please let us know how the stakeholders will be trained to use the equipment, and how this equipment will be used post the current project duration. Next, we come to the funding schedule. The grant amount requested is distributed as per biannual requirement, over the period of 3 years, if you're applying for the THT Conservation Grant, or 2 years, if you're applying for the THT Action Grant, so fill in your requirement accordingly. Please note that the grand total here must match the grand total calculated in the budget table above. You will not be able to move forward with your application unless these figures are the same. Finally, please provide the total project budget including funding from other sources. Here, please list your own contribution, and here, funding received from the government. Under the Others column, please list funds received from any other sources. The Habitats Trust column will be auto-filled based on the information provided in the budget table. You've come to the end of page 3, a critical page. Make sure to cross-check all data filled so far and click here before proceeding. Alright. You are on the last leg of your application process, page 4. Section 9 requires you to upload all relevant supporting documents. Here is a list of all the documents you'll need to upload on this page. Please make a note of each document required, the format and file size for each. If you're applying as an individual, these are the documents you'll need to provide us. You may take some time to prepare these and keep them ready in a folder. This would ease the process for you. To make the due diligence process of your organization easier, there is a compliance checklist that we've put together for you. Download this file, fill in the details, sign and then re-upload the file by clicking on this button. Now, click on this link to download the declaration form. You will need to print the form, sign it by hand and then scan and upload it back on the portal. Here you can add snapshots of press articles and publishings on your past projects. Under Section 10, you can add any additional comments about your application or leave feedback on the application process. Do mention how you heard about the THT grants. Congratulations! Your form is now complete. Please review all your data, edit what you need, and when you're satisfied, you can download a copy of your application process for your record by clicking here. Are you ready for the final step? Click on the Submit Application button at the bottom of the page and voila! Your application has been submitted. You will get an email confirmation of the same. On behalf of the Habitats Trust team, we thank you for your application and wish you luck. If you have further queries, please reach out to us on our helpline numbers or via email.